These are the Adidas Harden Volume 9, and they are the epitome of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Before we get into the actual video, if you can like, subscribe, and comment, any actual engagement helps the video to get exposure, helps the channel to continue to grow, and I will be eternally grateful for everything that you all continue to do and all the support you continue to give. But without further ado, let's get into this review. Now, first and foremost, the packaging is pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. It's actually a little bit more upscale. We actually have a slide-out drawer box this time around, similar to the Adidas AE1 or the Adidas Anthony Edwards one now. So it is a slide-out drawer box, similar color scheme to the Volume 8. So you have a silver and then like a reflective silver 3 stripes. It's a little bit weird because the actual box tag is like vertically placed or vertically oriented. So if you're sitting it amongst all your other boxes, the tag is going to stick out just because it's actually vertical versus being horizontal. Otherwise, everything on the actual box is pretty standard fare when it comes to an Adidas Harden shoe. Now, when it comes to the design for the Adidas Harden Volume 9, it is pretty much the epitome of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have a shoe that has gone through some transformations, at least for the upper, but for the most part, the technology inside the shoe, the cushioning, and kind of like the overall design aesthetic has remained the same. This particular colorway is called the Year of the Snake colorway. I thought it was an Asia exclusive. It is getting a release over in the stateside, but this particular colorway has like a faux snakeskin upper. It is a synthetic upper made of like a nylon or something like that, but at a glance through promotional pictures, you would think that this is like a suede upper, like a more premium upper. Now, it does still feel premium. I'm not saying this is not a premium feeling shoe. You also have like a ventilation holes at the forefoot of the shoe. Then you have the number 1, obviously Uno, which is Harden's new number. He kind of dropped obviously the 13 when he got to the Sixers and continued that to the Clippers. But in terms of the other design elements, you have like these claw elements on the lateral and medial side. 1, obviously their design, but 2, obviously they are 3 stripes for Adidas. And then the other part of it is that they actually act as breathability or ventilation holes because it goes right through to the inner booty. That inner booty itself, speaking of, is making a return. So this is the 3rd iteration of the Harden line where you have that inner booty coming back. And that inner booty, in the previous videos, I've said that I thought it was going to be a difficult shoe to get on foot, and it turns out it wasn't. The shoe was actually pretty easy to get on. This one on the Volume 9 was maybe the hardest of the 3 to get on foot, but that elastic material is very forgiving, so it gives you the ability to get the shoe on foot relatively easy. You do have some metal lace aglets, which is really, really cool. Nice premium touch. In the previous iteration, it was, for me at least, it was plastic lace aglets. Now, otherwise, you do just have a little bit of storytelling. You have obviously the Year of the Snake special Adidas logo on the insole of the shoe. And then actually on the treads of the shoe, I'm going to get into the traction a little bit later on, but you have Uno spelled out. That's actually integrated into the traction of the shoe, which is a nice little touch, something that's easily missed, but obviously calling out his number 1. Now, over on the heel portion of the shoe, you obviously have the James Harden logo right into that like faux carbon fiber print. That's something that you saw in the AE1 as well. And then you have the Adidas 3 stripes on the heel counter, which is something that you saw on the Volume 7 and the Volume 8. The heel counter is a bit more bulbous. This one is less so. It's not protruding as much as the other 2, but it still protrudes just a smidge. Now, when it comes to the materials for the Harden Volume 9, as I said earlier, it doesn't contain any raw materials with the exception of that forefoot area where the number 1 is embossed in there. It does appear to feel like a suede or nubuck type of material, which is something you've seen on previous iterations in the Volume 7 and Volume 8. They had some kind of suede built into the forefoot of the shoe, and it's a nice little touch. Obviously, you're throwing that in there, but overall, the shoe does feel premium, especially with that faux snake print all over this particular model. And with future colorways, I'm sure that they're going to do some kind of thing to make it a little bit more premium, elevate the shoe itself. Now, we can't talk about the materials without talking about how the materials affect the weight. One of the more interesting parts about the Harden line over the last few generations is just how consistent the weight has been. The Harden Volume 8 came in around 17.3 ounces. The Harden Volume 9 in a size 12 is coming in at 17.1 ounces or 485 grams, which is fantastic. The weight is evenly distributed all throughout the shoe, so on court, you don't feel that weight whatsoever, and you can make your cuts and all that fun stuff, and you don't really feel like you're being bogged down. Now, contrast that to my experiences with the Adidas Anthony Edwards 1, where that came in, I think, around 20 ounces, and a lot of that weight was really focused in on the outsole. That rubber was just like really weighing that shoe down. So this, again, is just evenly distributed. You don't feel the weight whatsoever. 17.1 ounces is pretty good and pretty consistent for the Harden Volume 9 and in general for the Harden series. Now, when it comes to the fit and containment for the Harden Volume 9, the fit has always been pretty consistent for me and the Harden line in general. With the Harden Volume 8 and Volume 7, I went with my true size 12 and they fit me pretty perfectly. As a wide footer, you love to see that consistency. So if you're a wide footer, definitely go with your true size. For me, I went with my size 12. If you're a narrow to normal size foot, I would definitely recommend going either true to size or even going down a half size, just because I feel like they fit a little bit long. So I did have a little bit of room in the toe box. Now, over on the containment side, the inner booty does a great job of just really enveloping your foot, and they've done that with the Volume 7 and the Volume 8. That inner booty just really adds a lot of protection and a lot of security and confidence, knowing that your foot is going to stay on the footbed. And the shoe itself has the footbed that kind of is a little bit wider, so your foot sits right in the shoe. But that inner booty does really provide a lot of security and protection for your foot. You always think about when you have a shoe that fits snug or kind of envelops your foot, you worry about chafing or cutting off circulation. This shoe does not do that. One thing I will recommend is this shoe comes out of the actual box itself, not being laced up all the way. There are a set of lace holes at the very top that aren't laced. If you don't want any heel slip, I would highly recommend, even with the inner booty, you will get heel slip, but I would highly recommend using those extra lace holes to kind of eliminate the possibility of heel slip. If you want to try them as is, try them out, but I would definitely recommend using every one of those lace holes. Now, in the Harden Volume 7 and the Harden Volume 8, you had some form of boost, whether it be boost with a light strike carrier or jet boost. In the Harden Volume 9, you definitely have boost in there. You have a thicker boost unit in the heel. I don't know if it's a puck or if it's full-length boost, but either way, you have a thicker boost unit in the heel, obviously to provide impact protection, and it is definitely noticeable underfoot. In the forefoot area, you do have a thinner boost, and that's obviously intended to provide a little bit of feedback and court feel in general. So in my experiences in playing in this shoe, I loved that mixture of court feel and cushioning. So you were able to have a very, very comfy ride, a very smooth ride, a very bouncy ride without making it too squishy or too unstable. I loved the cushioning in the Harden Volume 9, and it's probably one of the bigger highlights for me in this go around with the Harden line. Now, when it comes to the traction for the Harden Volume 9, this is by far one of the more disappointing parts of the shoe itself. In the Harden Volume 8, I kind of praised that shoe for having such fantastic traction. It had that JH, or what looked to be a JH pattern, in the middle part of the actual foot itself, and then it had like herringbone traction on the outside of the shoe, and then you actually had radial pods in the forefoot area for those quick cuts. Now, the Volume 8 I did praise for having fantastic traction, and I loved that shoe. The Volume 9, the traction was just really bad, really abysmal from the very beginning. I noticed it on a very clean court where the shoe just would not keep grip. Moving on to the court I normally play on, which is moderately dusty. It's not more dusty than usual. It's not cleaner than other courts I've played in, so it's just moderately dusty. And I just never got any real confident traction in the shoe. Even after wiping, it was just still slippery, even to the extent of at one point playing defense, completely sliding and the shoe's coming from under me. And then at one point trying to drive to do a reverse, and my feet just went from under me. And I don't think I've had a shoe with traction this bad in a very long time. And I thought maybe this is a one-off, or like an anomaly kind of thing. When I came back, I wiped the shoes down with like an alcohol wipe, and just to try and clean that traction off, because in Philly it's snowing, got salt on the ground, and that could create some issues. But even after wiping, I did get some initial bite on the floor, but after that, back to that slipping and sliding where I was trying to drive and I just couldn't. I didn't have the confidence to drive to the basket and know that these shoes were going to keep me on the floor. Now, when it comes to my final thoughts on the Harden Volume 9, this is a shoe that I absolutely love. I love the design, I love the technology they use, and I love the progression of the design overall. I love that Adidas continues to push the envelope in terms of what we expect from the Adidas partnership with James Harden. Although the traction did fail me, I do feel like it's a possibility it has to do with that translucent outsole, and I think a lot of us can agree that the translucent outsoles have given a lot of us issues even on clean courts. So while I won't recommend this particular colorway, which is I think limited to begin with, I would highly recommend trying to get a colorway with a solid outsole and seeing how they fare, and hopefully they hold up pretty well for you, just because this is an incredibly well-performing shoe in just about every respect. But at $160, I think this is a fantastic shoe. It's a great follow-up to the Volume 8, and I think just with some tweaks in terms of the colorways and the type of rubber compound that they're using, this will be a very, very good shoe and probably a contender for one of the best shoes in 2025. But if there's anything I missed or anything you would like to know about the Harden Volume 9, please leave a comment. If you liked this video, like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. But if you really, really liked it, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and you have a great day.